So where do things stand right now? Because the Libertarian guy's out. So now it's just the Dem and the Republican running against each other. So what is the conventional thinking that whatever percentage the Libertarian guy got, is that likely to go GOP or likely to go blue?
No one really knows this time. The 2021 runoff where the Republicans lost, it was the first runoff Republicans had lost since the 90s in Georgia. Really, that it did something to them psychologically. Now they're not very sure. The numbers say the Republicans have more votes in Georgia than the Democrats, but Herschel Walker underperformed Brian Kemp by 9% in virtually every county in the state. So can you get people to cross the threshold? Rand Paul actually came on my radio show out of Atlanta yesterday to try to make the case to libertarians that if you have a 50-50 Senate, all of the committees are tied, so the Republicans have more power than if the Democrats win the seat and get to 51. Suddenly the Republicans don't have a tie split on the committees, urging libertarians to get out. Brian Kemp, for the first time, is on the campaign trail going everywhere with Herschel Walker. He's kept his ground game going, handed it over to Mitch McConnell to run the operations on the ground. We actually had a door knocker come to our house 2 days ago, or Saturday, not Sunday. Had door knocker come on Saturday. We didn't have any during the general election, and they're coming for Herschel Walker. So maybe they can get people across the finish line. But then Warnock has ads all over the state with Brian Kemp voters and prominent Brian Kemp supporters saying, vote for Warnock, character matters.
The knocking on the door is interesting because one of the criticisms of the Republicans in this past midterms was they have no ground game. They didn't work the early vote. They basically just try to inflame people and then don't do very much to actually get them to the polling stations, which is the most important part of the whole process. So that's interesting to hear they're getting a little bit more aggressive on that. Do we like in this election, in this runoff election, is everyone allowed to vote? This is what I'm trying to ask. Or is it just the people who voted the last time?
Because it's a general election, anyone who voted last time or people who didn't vote, it's considered a continuation of the election, so to speak. So really anybody can vote right now. If they're registered to vote, they can go vote.
Oh, really? So you can expand the universe? Because I was told it was the opposite, that only the people who voted 3 weeks ago would be allowed to vote now.
No, in Georgia, runoff's considered an extension of the election. So whether you have or have not voted in the general, you're able to vote this time. The caveat is in primaries. If you have voted or not voted, that is a determination for primary runoffs. But for general election runoffs, you can go vote.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, I guess, good news for Herschel Walker because he could expand the universe, and he needs to expand the universe of potential voters. So you mentioned Warnock and his approach. He is running on a couple of things. He's not Trump, and he has character. Let's take a look at his Trump ad. This is SOT 9.
We must all work very hard for a gentleman and a great person named Herschel Walker, a fabulous human being who loves our country and will be a great United States Senator. Herschel Walker, get out and vote for Herschel, and he deserves it. He was an incredible athlete. He'll be an even better senator. Get out and vote for Herschel Walker.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message.
That's unbelievable. That's a Warnock ad.
It is. And, it's going to have an impact. People kind of forget, if you go all the way back to 2016, in the metro Atlanta suburbs, Cobb, Gwinnett, Clayton County, Marco Rubio won those, not Donald Trump. Basically, all the counties Atlanta touched. Donald Trump didn't do well, and 60 to 70% of the vote in this runoff is going to come from those counties. So that's actually an effective ad in the Atlanta suburbs. Walker underperformed Kemp. Every Republican in the state Donald Trump endorsed other than Herschel Walker lost. He's not very popular even among Republicans in the state. So that ad will have an impact.
Okay, the other ad hits Herschel Walker on character, and I am dying to discuss. I've been following your tweets. I've been following your coverage of Herschel ever since the scandals broke. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. But here's the next Warnock attack on Herschel, SOT 10.
My parents taught me that there's nothing more important than your name. Character is what you do when nobody's watching. It's about doing the right thing simply because it's the right thing and doing it over and over again. It's an amazing thing for the people of your state to say that we want you to represent us. That's not simply a vote, it's a sacred trust. They're counting on me to be thinking about them and their families. And that's what I'm committed to doing every single day.
Now, you had been saying that the Herschel Walker character attacks were bad, that they were going to have an effect.
Yeah.
And I confess to you, I had my doubts because I thought more Republicans in Georgia would say, I don't love it, but it's not going to stop me from voting for control of the Senate. And that turned out to be very wrong because of this. You could see it in the split vote, how they liked Kemp. And as you point out, he underperformed 9% than Herschel did, than Kemp. And so they did care. And there's nothing that's happened since then to change the caring. So why would the Republicans feel optimistic about Herschel doing better this time around, especially with ads like that from Warnock reminding them character matters?
They're a little more optimistic. And first of all, I got to correct myself because I looked it up during that commercial. This was part of the change in the election law where you do have to have voted in the general to vote in the runoff. So I was wrong on that. Want to clarify.
Oh, okay.
You've got to vote in the general. The Republicans are a little more optimistic this time because one of the problems Warnock had in the general that didn't get him across the finish line was the Democratic ground game broke down. Stacey Abrams funded the Democratic ground game across the state for everyone, including Warnock. She's now out of the picture. Her ground game broke. It didn't work. I mean, the Republicans won every single statewide race and even picked up a few seats in the state legislature they were expecting to lose. One of the few bright spots for the GOP nationwide. So now you've got Brian Kemp's ground game still fully operational. The Republicans think they can turn out the vote. I'm still not sure. And the reason why, and the reason I knew that was a problem was my kids go to a very small Christian school, very Republican as well. And I'm in a very evangelical church with people who are still to this day mad at me that I didn't support Trump in 2016. And my wife and I both kept encountering people who are like, I don't know that I can vote for Herschel. Have you seen the ad about his ex-wife? And they never mounted a good response to that ad. They said they had one. They never mounted it. They didn't have the money, apparently, to get it on air. And that's had a lingering effect. I mean, when you have the man's ex-wife on television, granted, they cut him out of the picture. Herschel Walker was actually there with her in the interview, but you hear her talking about his abuse, holding a gun to her head, quoting him. It really had an impact on Christian evangelical women. And in fact, if you look at the vote, the odds are Walker would have won except for white evangelical women not voting for him.
Oh, fascinating. So how do those women, I mean, do you think those women voted for Trump? Because he did not, as far as I know, well, I don't know. There was an allegation in his divorce from Ivana Trump that he allegedly raped her, something that she would later take back. Yeah. But it was different from the Herschel Walker situation where Herschel Walker admitted doing these things and just said, I was out of my mind and I've gotten help since then. Yeah, so how could those women have voted for Trump and not for Herschel?
I think they voted for Trump in 2016, and then you saw this shift in 2020 where about basically 27,968, I think is the precise number of people who voted in Georgia in 2020, but refused to vote for president. We saw about the same number this time refused to vote in the Senate race. They skipped over and voted straight for Brian Kemp over Abrams. I do think that after 2016, there is a segment of the population, particularly of evangelical women, who began to kind of get tired, and they really wanted to start voting for people who vote for someone as opposed to against someone. I might be married to someone like that who she's tired of having to vote against the evil of two lessers and would really like someone to vote for. And I get that sentiment more and more from even women who call my show. They're just kind of tired of having to say, I've got two bad candidates, pick the less bad one. They're like, I'm just tired of picking.
Yeah, I hear that. So what's the strategy then for Herschel Walker? Yes, he gets the bear hug from Governor Kemp. That's good because he had been stiff-arming him throughout the whole campaign leading up to the midterms. Kemp was like, oh no, that's your problem. I'm not dealing with that. So now he gets the bear hug. That should be helpful. But on the other side, you got Obama going down there to rally for Warnock. You got the Dave Matthews Band. Those things don't move numbers, but whatever. So I'm just still struggling to figure out what the game plan is to get a bigger turnout for Herschel Walker this time.
It's base mobilization. If you talk to Republicans, they will tell you there are more of us than there are of them. Maximize them. Find people who voted enthusiastically for Walker and just keep rounding them up, get them to early voting. The problem here, honestly, is much like what Republicans have seen nationwide, with the exception of the Kemp campaign, no one really ran an early vote campaign for the GOP this time. That Kemp did it and is now trying to do it for Herschel Walker might help him, but there's just not a level of enthusiasm. I actually, on Sunday nights, have a group of guys who come over. We just sit on the front porch and watch football and smoke some cigars, and all of them voted for Herschel Walker in the general election. And I said, who's going to go vote in the runoff? And nobody was really enthusiastic about doing it. They're all like, yeah, I guess I will. When is it again? But no one really was enthusiastic. The sentiment that I get so much is we did what we needed to do. He came up short. That's not on me. That's on him. I still think Republicans can win this. There are more Republicans than Democrats, but I don't know that Republicans are really willing to admit that there is a candidate problem here, much like there has been in other races that they've got to really overcome with voters.
There is so much to love about fall, from the cooler temperatures to the changing leaves, pumpkin spiced everything. What better way to soak up the best of this season than with a Michael Phelps swim spa by Master Spas? A Michael Phelps swim spa combines the benefits of a pool with the therapy of a hot tub. It comes in a variety of sizes to complement almost any yard, even if it's a small one. Master Spas worked with Michael Phelps to develop an at-home training and fitness solution that you can use year-round in any season, even in the winter, believe it or not. As your fall calendar fills up, a Michael Phelps swim spa is the perfect place to spend time together as a family. Michael Phelps swim spas are 100% made in the USA by Master Spas, the world's largest swim spa manufacturer. It is energy efficient. You can use it all year long, as I mentioned. Go to masterspas.com, put in the promo code MK, and that will save you $1,000 on a Michael Phelps swim spa or $500 on a Master Spas hot tub. Masterspas.com, promo code MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.